I remember when I was going into college, I had to tell my roommate that I had HIV. And I didn't tell her before we really got there, and I told her like the first night. And I sat her down and I was like, we need to talk about something. And she's like, what? I'm like, I have HIV. I've had it for this long, blah, blah. She's like, oh, I thought you were gonna tell me you were dying or something. HIV? And I was like, oh, okay. So, I mean, there are people that really understand, that are really good about it and like, are like so understanding about it. And the people that like that make you really appreciate the people that don't understand it.
It was in 2005 that I was asked to be a hero at the Elizabeth Glaser Pediatric AIDS Foundation's New York City fundraiser, aptly named Kids for Kids. I remember that afternoon vividly, not just because it was such a fun-filled, colorful event, but because I was introduced to children and teenagers who were helping to host the carnival, all of whom were HIV positive. They were and are the true heroes, living life to the full and leading others to do the same. Personally, it was a revelation, and over the next 2 years, I was honored to be asked back to help out at various other fundraisers across the country. I, like many others, knew someone who had been infected with HIV and had witnessed the devastating consequences. Yet the face of AIDS I had grown up with seemed to have changed, or at least the chance of living with HIV/AIDS was now a reality due to the prevention, treatment, and research programs being run by the Foundation and its partners. In fact, the Foundation's programs have made dramatic advances, virtually eliminating pediatric AIDS in the United States. This, however, is not the case in the parts of the world hardest hit by HIV, and although the Foundation is making significant strides, there is still a long way to go. It turns out that 2/3 of HIV-positive pregnant women worldwide do not receive the services they need to prevent transmission of HIV to their babies, resulting in more than 1,000 babies being infected with HIV every single day. Of those children, half will die before their second birthday if left untreated. You know, as a father of 2 young children, and like most anyone who hears those statistics, I felt I had to do something about it. As a photographer and filmmaker, I embarked on a project to highlight the Foundation's programs and missions on a global level, deciding to concentrate on Tanzania as an example of a country where HIV/AIDS is a serious problem, but where by applying the lessons learned in the United States and other wealthy nations, hopeless suffering doesn't need to be the only option. But rather, by collaborating with governments and local partners, creating a generation free of HIV is not just a dream, but can be our reality. AIDS is now a pandemic. In 2007, an estimated 33 million people worldwide were living with HIV, 2/3 of whom were in sub-Saharan Africa. 2 million people died due to AIDS-related illnesses, including 270,000 children. And children are the often forgotten casualties of this misunderstood disease. The majority infected through mother-to-child transmission, either in the womb, during delivery, or via breastfeeding.
I just want to take the time to really thank Elizabeth Glaser for all they've done and support and, to help raise money to find a cure for HIV and AIDS and to help kids in Africa. And I don't know, I think you guys are amazing, and without you, I'm sure we would all live, but you're the highlight of it. So thank you.
So why Tanzania? Tanzania is known for having the tallest freestanding mountain in the world, Kilimanjaro, which stands as a constant reminder of the heights we need to climb to conquer the disease that has ravaged so many in its shadow. Of course, it's also known for breathtaking safaris and a rich cultural heritage. Back in 1964, Tanganyika and Zanzibar merged to form the nation of Tanzania, creating the largest country in East Africa whose population is now in excess of 40 million, 1.4 million of which are HIV positive. And like elsewhere in the world, HIV does not discriminate, inasmuch as the disease has spread from the cities to the countryside to the plains of the Serengeti, infecting and affecting every echelon of society. The foundation started in 1988 as a small US operation and now has a presence in 17 countries around the world, 14 of which are in Africa. Tanzania is a great example of how the entire country is getting involved, from President Kikwete and the First Lady to rural farmers and the Maasai. The government has created strong AIDS programs that are succeeding with the foundation's support. And the whole country is working together to reduce stigma and discrimination, promote testing, and provide the care and treatment needed to sustain the country into the future. Our mission in Tanzania was to get the full picture, how HIV/AIDS was affecting the children and families in all walks of life. We were to meet up with government officials and aid workers, the First Lady of Tanzania, top doctors and local health workers, to lay people who work in their local communities as mentors. We wanted to see how the foundation works hand in hand with the country at all levels and to discover how Tanzania shares the same issues all countries have. I've never been one to say that we're all the same. Rather, I think we should celebrate our differences. However, I do believe we have many similarities. We may not dress up in bright-colored robes like the Maasai, or live in a country with a national park twice the size of Belgium in our backyard. But we all love our children, and none of us can afford to let even a single child go uncared for if we're to hold our heads up high and be proud of this world of ours.
I got HIV from a blood transfusion as a newborn, so I'm the only one in my family that's sick. So that's kind of hard, but I'm thankful that I'm the only one that we really have to worry about on that level. We didn't find out until I was 5, so I was extremely ill up until I was 5. Then I went to NIH and got the experimental drugs, and Elizabeth Glaser Foundation just found so many doors for us. I really don't think I'd be alive without them. I have a 4-year-old son that is HIV negative. Thank you for the foundation.
PMTCT. What does it stand for? It's a lot of letters, I know, but it's pretty straightforward, really. The prevention of mother-to-child transmission. This is a cornerstone of the Foundation's programs and key to ending pediatric AIDS. In 2007, more than 1 in 4 all HIV-positive pregnant women worldwide who received medicines to prevent transmission of HIV to their babies did so through Foundation-supported programs. In the US, the number of children infected through mother-to-child transmission has decreased by 90%. In the rest of the world, more than 1,000 babies are infected through mother-to-child transmission every day. Most of those are in sub-Saharan Africa. PMTCT services are developed in-country by the Ministry of Health and Social Welfare and other local partners. The Foundation supports these homegrown efforts by training healthcare workers, providing technical assistance, and supporting voluntary HIV testing and counseling. When an HIV-positive mother is identified, the Foundation provides the antiretroviral drugs needed to prevent infection of the infant. The mothers also receive information on safe feeding options for their infants, which is why strengthening maternal and child health services and integrating PMTCT into those services is part and parcel of the Foundation's approach. This all leads to a continuum of care. Currently, there are nearly 1 million orphans due to AIDS in Tanzania, emphasizing the need to treat the parents as well as preventing transmission at birth.
Every person in the world right now who cares about humanity and development should address the issue of HIV and AIDS. Truly, because there will not be any development if we do not address the issue that is the leading cause of adults. And we know that if an adult dies, the survivorship of a child below the age of 5 is compromised. So we are actually talking about an epidemic that directly or indirectly affects a large part of the world. So if you're a development partner and you do not address the issue of HIV and AIDS, you've not addressed development. Even for your own country, because what is survival if the rest of the world is not surviving?
Today we have 2 deliveries of new babies, and these mothers come to this clinic for delivery services, and we provide PMTCT services during antenatal clinic, which we undergo counseling and testing, and those who are positive, they get PMTCT services. We educate the mother the time of taking the drugs. During the onset of true labor, we conduct safe deliveries to these mothers in our clinic. And also, we continue providing counseling in infant feeding to the mother, those who are positive, so that they can choose the method of feeding her new baby.
This lady that we can hear behind us, is she giving birth now? Is she delivering maybe? Is that what the sound is? She's near delivery.
Yeah.
So we're hearing the sounds right now of a new life coming into the world.
Yes.
And it's thanks to your great work that this is possible and that babies like this can be delivered in a safe and healthy manner.
Yeah.
How has the Elizabeth Glaser Pediatrics AIDS Foundation helped this clinic?
EGPAF has helped us a lot. They have renovated our clinic. They provide us testing kits and tablets. Also, we have equipment to keep records to our patients. Also, they conduct training of our service providers. In Arusha, we have trained about more than 78 service providers on PMTCT.
Fantastic.
Yes.
As you can tell, the contractions are coming every 3 minutes, which means that the baby is due soon. I know that because I have 2 of my own, and I can put the time on that. So it's a very exciting moment to listen and to hear all this going on behind us. Well, hopefully we're about to have the delivery of another HIV-negative child here in this ward due to your good work. So please keep up the work, and thank you very much for talking to us.
Okay,
The foundation appreciates it.
Thank you very much.
On our first day in Tanzania, we headed to the Kilimanjaro Christian Medical Center, situated in the heart of the town of Moshi. It's a child-centered family care clinic that runs foundation-backed prevention and treatment programs, including PMTCT, conducts research, and provides training. The clinic also provides strong support services like a teen club for HIV-infected youth. Teen clubs are an important way for teens infected with HIV to discuss life in general and get tips and experience from their peers who are going through similar challenges. So this KCMC social worker is explaining the ins and outs of sexual behavior. And of course, talking about sex is taboo often anywhere in the world, but it's extremely important that these teenagers get to hear about it so they know what to do and what not to do in this very difficult situation when you have HIV. Of course, she's also being very candid and unreserved and really letting them know the nitty-gritty about the birds and the bees, so to speak. When the teens meet, they sing songs, dance, recite poetry about HIV/AIDS, and have group discussions about living with HIV/AIDS. This really helps the kids deal with any sort of stigma, helps them stick with their treatment, including AIDS drugs, and actually puts them on the road to becoming HIV/AIDS leaders. Meet Tatu Masangi, a 35-year-old HIV-positive counsellor at KCMC. 3 years ago, when she became pregnant, Tatu had a routine blood test at the antenatal clinic at the KCMC and discovered she was HIV positive. Through support from the foundation, Tatu was able to get access to life-saving medication, which prevented her from passing the virus to her daughter, Faith. After her child was born HIV negative, Tatu went on to work in the foundation's programs to prevent mother-to-child transmission, where she counsels women who are undergoing HIV testing. Getting tested for HIV during pregnancy is the first step in PMTCT. And thanks to the Foundation's collaboration with the government at the highest levels, it is now national policy for all pregnant women to be tested unless they opt out.
It was really a depressing issue when I learned my zero status, but through counseling, I get at least confidence, because counselors tell me that there is something I can do to prevent the child. Then I went through the instruction given by counselors and follow-up clinic. Fortunately, my child go through replacement feeding. I didn't breastfeed the child at all. So through replacement feeding and child follow-up clinic. Then on 16 months, then she was tested. Then she was HIV negative. The program is so important because it's not only me who benefited from the program, there is a lot of people who benefited from the program. And the benefit of the program is not only to get a child who is HIV free, mothers who are found to be HIV positive, also they are enrolled. It is the entrance point to care and treatment. So through PMTCT program, mother get to know their HIV status. Then it is the interest of for them to be enrolled in CTC. And as you know, the drugs are free. When they walk, they get counseling. There is counseling for those who need medication. And when you need medication, then you get medication free. So it's not only to get a free HIV child, the only benefit. Learning your zero status is a great benefit.
You are the perfect example of the new generation of leaders and counselors that we need. Thank you very much. We have a beautiful little daughter.
The Maasai are probably the most well-recognized African tribe due to their colorful dress and distinctive customs. They are a particularly hard group to reach, as they are a pastoral, nomadic community with a very strong culture and long-standing traditions. A sign of wealth and prosperity in Maasai tradition is to have as many cows as possible and as many children as possible. They also believe strongly in their own traditional medicine, making the Maasai a particularly complicated community to treat and educate.
So I'm here with Lillian. She is a traditional Maasai birthing attendant, and she's been trained by the foundation to deliver babies in a safe and healthy manner, thus reducing the chances of HIV being passed on from mother to child. Lillian, can you tell us what you've learned from the foundation and the clinic?
Bitia naitenga na kimba aneke nari to kingana nari to kaito kunakara na isho nari to kengara ki nari to alongani.
So she's showing us gloves right now, and there's obviously plastic sheeting here, and there's gauze, and they have been taught by the foundation really how to deliver babies in a healthy way to reduce the risk of infection, and in case there's an emergency or any sort of unexpected thing that can happen during childbirth, she is now much more practiced and experienced at knowing how to handle that. Can you discuss with us how much more successful you have been delivering babies since you've had the training from before you had the training?
Abaha mula pati dia matwa ame bongera ile chafu pokin kara kuna nufani kara ndugu na riziki amore anana kan ni kabigengera.
Keep up the good work, and thank you very much for letting us see this birthing hut and see all the things that you have. Good luck.
Until my dad became ill in '86, and of course at the time it was deemed that he had full-blown AIDS and had 6 months to live, and of course they tested my mom positive, tested me, 50% chance. I was positive, one of 20 babies in the Los Angeles area at the time. And of course my mom didn't know, like many of you, you know the story, didn't know how long we were gonna live, couldn't give us a number. So we just kept counting birth dates and going on, and luckily I came from a really supportive family. She always encouraged me to dream, and I met some really interesting people. It's been an interesting journey, as you all know, a really fulfilling journey at the same time. And now I find myself an adult, it's one of those things where we looked forward to when we would turn 10, and then we turned 10, and then we looked forward to when we would turn 16, and then boom, 16, then we were 18. We had to deal with that, and then 21, and now it's just going through navigating life, and I'm really lucky.
Equally as important as preventing pediatric AIDS is ensuring children in need are not pushed aside when it comes to life-saving treatment. Already, hundreds of thousands of children and their families are enrolled in the Foundation's care and support programs. These programs don't just treat and provide medicine for children that are HIV positive, but consider treating HIV-positive families as a whole, regardless of whether the children have been born HIV negative. The well-being of the mother is paramount, as the chances of a child dying increase exponentially if we lose the mother. Simply, what good is a sick parent to a child? Flora tested positive for HIV in 2000, and after revealing her status to her husband, was kicked out of the marital home. Tragically, 2 of her children died, with at least one, she thinks, from AIDS-related illnesses. She now lives with her 3 remaining children. This might have been preventable had she known she was HIV positive earlier and received PMTCT services sooner to help prevent transmission of HIV to her children.
PMTCT is doing a great job, yeah, because we have many HIV positive women who have delivered HIV negative infants because of PMTCT. I have about more than 90% of women who are delivered in here who have managed to deliver HIV negative baby, you see. So the clinic is actually doing a lot. In here we believe if you treat the mother, you have treated the whole nation, because mothers are the foundation of whatever progress is being made. If a family has a mother who is HIV positive and has not been treated, the whole learning of the family becomes horrible. So it is very important that you don't treat only the pregnant mothers. No, even the mothers who are not pregnant, but they are responsible with the families.
Kwa hiyo madokta ni wengine wamejakuja.
The road to Huruma Hospital was a great indication of how difficult it is to reach many patients. Huruma offers almost free health service for its patients, with help from the foundation, although it is still dealing with the same problems faced by many rural hospitals. Children have been grossly neglected in the response to HIV/AIDS, and while it's imperative to stop transmission of the virus wherever possible, it's also essential to treat those already infected with HIV. The Foundation is working hard to ensure that children in need are not pushed aside when it comes to life-saving treatment. Amadeus is 17 years old, HIV positive, and receiving antiretroviral drugs. He's an orphan and used to live with his grandparents, but is currently living at the Huruma Hospital as his grandparents couldn't take care of him and provide the nutritional support he needs. He's also an avid photographer.
Our efforts to provide care and treatment to children and their families is a very successful component of our programs. Already, through the end of 2008, we've already have enrolled over 600,000 children and families into our care and treatment programs. Of those over 600,000, about 330,000 are on antiretroviral therapy. And that includes around 26,000 children who are on therapy. So our programs are amongst the largest programs as far as providing care, treatment, and support services to HIV-infected children and their families.
I'm thankful for the foundation because not because they didn't do great work in the medical aspect, because they did, but the way that foundation has affected my life is in a different way. The foundation gave me friends, because facing social discrimination in school and the stigma that goes along with being HIV positive and having that social stigma, I didn't have anybody that I could relate with back where I live. And I'm eternally grateful, and I'm so blessed to have come across this foundation, because I wouldn't have known any of you guys, and especially the friends that I talk to on a daily basis, because these people understand me. And that's something that I never had before, somebody who understands.
Stigma and discrimination are almost as deadly as HIV/AIDS. Misconceptions about the disease, about the way it is transmitted, and even about the way it can be cured, cause many to be afraid of getting tested in the first place. But that better not to know can lead to you unwittingly infecting your spouse, and worse still, your newborn baby. The problems don't end there, and it's down to society as a whole to act in unity in order to eliminate the stigma associated and instead show compassion. If we take this road, we can virtually eliminate the disease off the face of the map. The Foundation has and continues to partner and educate everyone, from individuals infected with HIV to local government to religious organizations to heads of state. No one is too important to be informed or too lowly. Everyone counts. And the more information people share about HIV and AIDS, the less likely they and their children are to be infected in the first place. The Quasmo story.
Ndiyo, imebadili maisha yangu sana. Kwanza imenijengea ujasiri wa kuweza kusimama mbele ya watu na kuweza kutoa elimu, na imenijengea ujasiri wa kuweza kuingia kwenye jamii na kuongea na watu, kueleza hali halisi ya maisha yangu. Hata mimi mwenyewe kifamilia imenibadilisha. Zimenisaidia kuwa na matumaini zaidi, kuona kwamba sisi pamoja na kwamba nina virusi vya ukimwi, kumbe uwezo, baada ya kujengewa uwezo wa kuelimisha jamii, nimeweza kuona yani umuhimu wa kuongea na watu uwazi, kuingia katika makanisani baada ya kujengewa uwezo, kueleza hali halisi, yani kutoa ushuhuda.
One of the Foundation's most important programs, in my opinion, is creating a new generation of HIV leaders. People like Quasmo, who are HIV positive and through the Foundation's programs have been trained in mentoring, working as a lay counselor. Quasmo's son is HIV positive too, and has suffered from great amounts of stigma and discrimination.
I've been with the Foundation since '93. I actually walked in the inaugural parade with Elizabeth back in '92, and she invited me to come up, and I've been here ever since, except for 1 year, so this is gonna be my 15th year here. And I love helping out the Foundation in any way because they help me through raising money and donating that to pediatric research. So, you know, I gotta thank you guys for allowing me to grow to be the, I guess, man, oh my God, man, the man that I am today.
The Foundation began at a time when there was no research addressing the unique needs of children with HIV. Now, the Foundation is intensifying its commitment to research by funding innovative projects by the best minds in science. And thanks in part to the Foundation's efforts, the rate of transmission of HIV from an infected mother to her child has plummeted to less than 2% in the United States. That means that almost every baby in the US is born HIV-free. But we must continue to lead efforts to decrease the number of infected children globally, especially in sub-Saharan Africa, where more than 90% of children with HIV infection reside. The Foundation continues to fund innovative efforts by top scientists to find more successful ways to prevent mother-to-child transmission of HIV, effective vaccines, better pediatric treatments, and ultimately, a cure for the most devastating infectious disease of modern times.
AIDS research that focuses on children is critical because children are not just small adults. In order to address the problems and allow children with HIV to live long, happy lives, we need to address their problems. They have different immune systems, they respond differently to drugs, they have different disease progression, so the only way we're going to accomplish our goal is if we focus the research on those children.
I know that my mom started this whole journey to save my life. I feel very fortunate that I'm as healthy as I am and that I can really carry on the word of, you know, all the people around the world that don't really have the opportunity. It's the inspiration that needs to be told, and it's the beauty in which this life holds for us. And you know, I'm a very healthy young man living with HIV, and you know, I hope to see other people follow in my footsteps.
Elizabeth Glaser herself was the Foundation's first advocate, going to Washington, D.C. to convince policymakers that HIV-infected children must not be ignored.
First is that there is a complacency and an acceptance of the way things work here in Washington.
Over the years, the Foundation built a reputation for highly successful advocacy efforts and expanded pediatric AIDS research, increased global AIDS funding, and improved the safety of drugs used by children.
11 years ago, while giving birth to my first child, I hemorrhaged and was transfused with 7 pints of blood. 4 years later, I found out that I had been infected with the AIDS virus and had unknowingly passed it to my daughter Ariel through my breast milk and my son Jake in utero. 20 years ago, I wanted to be at the Democratic Convention because it was a way to participate in my country. Today, I am here because it's a matter of life and death.
The Foundation is urging President Obama and the U.S. Congress to expand President Bush's flagship program to fight AIDS around the world. And it is also calling on all nations to join the global effort to eradicate pediatric AIDS.
Elizabeth, to me, is an example, and I know she is an example for many of our staff members. She was a mother who started this because of the love of her children. We are all either mothers, fathers, or family members, and I think with this love, that really has made a difference.
I remember coming home, I was in 7th grade, walking up the stairs and seeing my mom crying. And you know, I just asked her what's wrong, and she said, you know, the doctor, he called, you know, you're HIV positive. And at that moment, I just, you know, froze and just collapsed into my mom's arms, and all she could do was hold me and say, it's gonna be okay, it's gonna be okay. And you know, the doctor that had to give that diagnosis to my mom, who cured me from cancer, was crying harder than my mom was. You know, here, this blood that saved my life from cancer, you know, I was transfused with HIV, and so here I went from, you know, the oncologist to the infectious disease doctors, you know, from being on no medication to being on AZT, and you know, that's a direct result of the work that Elizabeth did, you know, never taking no for an answer, always beating on the doors and, you know, at Congress and the White House, and, you know, continually to fight for kids and, you know, fight for Jake and, you know, and all kids alike.
The Foundation was born from a mother's love for her children. Elizabeth Glaser contracted the AIDS virus through a blood transfusion in 1981 when giving birth to her daughter Ariel. Elizabeth and her husband Paul Glaser later learned that she had unknowingly passed the virus to Ariel and then to their son, Jake. Following Ariel's death in 1988, Elizabeth joined with her close friends Susie Zegan and Susan De Laurentiis to create a foundation with a critical mission: to bring hope to all children with AIDS. Although Elizabeth lost her own battle with AIDS, she left behind an incredible legacy of accomplishment. This legacy lives on in her son Jacob, who is a healthy young adult, and in the lives of many other children around the world. Now the legacy of Elizabeth Glaser also lives on in a new generation of leaders who are intently focused on eradicating pediatric AIDS. As in Tanzania and all over the world, people from all walks of life, researchers, community activists, parents, people living with HIV, and those who care about them are joining the Foundation's call to create a generation free of HIV.
It's simple. You know, we can always direct people to our website. So there's www.pedaids.org. You know, tell a friend about the fundraiser. Come check this out. You know, it's always good to go get tested, even if, you know, you might be sure that you're not HIV positive. But you know what? It's worth it to go get tested, to be a part of that movement, and to really help support the rest of the community that are trying to do the same.
Join the moment. The movement Elizabeth inspired brought about the creation of medicines that are as effective as a vaccine in preventing mother-to-child transmission of HIV. Yet each day, more than 1,000 children worldwide are infected with HIV because their mothers don't have access to the medicines they need. This is a new moment for action. That's why the Foundation is launching the Join the Moment campaign. It's time to finish the work Elizabeth started. Each and every one of us can be a full participant in the campaign to end pediatric AIDS. Donate. Every gift matters in our work to save children's lives and speed the eradication of pediatric AIDS. Participate. From kids' carnivals to film premieres to news-making events to delegations to Africa, the Foundation's events are always making an impact. Advocate. Join the global call for action for a generation free of HIV by telling President Obama and your representatives in Congress to support its goals.
When I have visited mothers in Uganda or in Tanzania, and you see the strength of these HIV/AIDS women, they band together. They are creating products to help support their work. They are reaching out to communities to help educate. What we can do in the United States, because we are so very fortunate, is provide the dollars, provide the means. And I would hope that through the Global Fund and through other efforts of foundations such as yours, that we can provide the resources so that those statistics of 1,000 infants a day are changed. It may take us time, but we can do it. As President Obama says, yes, we can.
Spread the word. Go to www.pedaids.org or Facebook and learn how you can help spread the word to friends and family about the Foundation's essential work around the world.